you describe the kind of work that the United Nations Office for Sustainable Development is doing and will undertake in the future?
Well, our mandate is essentially to strengthen the capacities of developing countries in implementing Sustainable Development Agenda, which has been agreed in many UN summits, plus Rio Plus 20 summit, which recently concluded. And when I say about these capacities, means institutional capacities, technical capacities, human resources capacities, etc., etc. So our work would be based on four main pillars. One is the development of the knowledge portal, which will have a lot of policies and programs, and it would serve more as a training tool to the developing countries. Second would be to undertaking some research and policy analysis on critical and emerging sustainable development issues, which would also, the results of this would go into the knowledge portal. The third one would be to building partnerships with a number of knowledge producers. And the fourth one would be to organizing some high-level training events in the terms of some seminars, workshops, conferences on some very specific and targeted subjects.
Well, as you know, the United Nations Office for Sustainable Development is a UN training and resource facility. So what is the significance in establishing office here in Korea?
I think there are quite a bit of reasons, but the most important ones are that Korea is right now emerging as an international hub for knowledge and information. And I think this knowledge and information needs to be shared with the rest of the world. And the UNOSD is going to be a sort of a catalyst in doing that. The number two thing is that in recent years, Korea has worked very hard in developing its own capacities, particularly in sustainable development and green growth concept. And I think that's also something on which the whole world wants to know how Korea has transformed in such a short period of time from a country which was sort of very poor and few decades ago to a stage where it is right now. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of lessons have to be learned and shared, and the office is going to play a critical role together with the government to disseminate all those success stories and the road on this journey of sustainable development.
Well, there was a big hype over the last 2 years about the Rio Plus 20 conference that was just held at the end of last month. And of course, Rio was the city that held that very great summit called the Earth Summit 20 years ago. What are the results and outcomes from this conference?
I personally see that there are a number of positive outcomes of this particular conference. Number one, there has been a strong political commitment which has been demonstrated by the presence of almost more than 100 heads of states. Number two, we have been able to launch two very successful processes there. One process with regard to sustainable development goals, and the second one on some kind of a framework for institutional governance, which would be a replacement for Commission on Sustainable Development. The third very important outcome has been the right. It has been recognized to food and nutrition security has been recognized as a human right. That's a very big achievement. There has also been some positive outcomes with regard to how do we want to strengthen the United Nations Environment Program. A number of partnerships have emerged. There are more than 700 commitments which have been made in support of the implementation of the outcomes. So all in all, I think there was a great momentum. Also, this 10-year framework of sustainable consumption and production has been adopted there. So all in all, I think there was quite a number of positives coming out of this conference.
Well, as head of the UNOSD, what will you be focusing the most?
I think immediate attention would be done this building partnership with the knowledge producers, bringing knowledge producers and knowledge users together here for exchange of views, and then doing some of these high-profile events which I mentioned, And eventually the long term is that we wanted to convert this center into a virtual academy for capacity building. That's our long term goal, and let's hope we'll succeed in that.
Well, Mr. Chaudhry, it has been a pleasure talking to you, and I wish you best luck with the UNOSD for all those endeavours they're trying to embark in the future. Thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thank you very much. I have been very happy to be on your show and look forward to see you again sometime.
Thank you.